Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Time Is Now, exploring archivists' response to the open educational movement. My name is Autumn Johnson. I am the Special Collections Librarian and Associate Professor at Georgia Southern University, and I'm joined by my colleague.
And my name is Nikki Cannon-Rech, and I am the Sustainability Librarian and OER Librarian at Georgia Southern.
A quick background on how we came to this topic. In addition to special collections, I also have liaison duties as a research librarian, and I work with the School of Fashion Merchandising. In recent years, I've had the privilege of collaborating with my faculty to adapt open educational textbooks and implement open pedagogy practices through renewable assignments. A particularly inspiring project was a fashion history timeline created by one of our cohorts, seen here. This experience working directly with students revealed an opportunity to merge my dual roles by intentionally incorporating special collections into the project on fashion history. I realized that other institutions like the Toronto Public Library Special Collections, whose collection image you see here in the Bon Ton catalog image, had already made strides in making their collections more openly accessible. And throughout this journey, I've been fortunate to have the support of my colleague and OER champion, Nikki. And our ongoing discussions about this project and the challenges ultimately led us to embark on our current research project that is still very much in progress. We want to explore this intersection, the intersection of open educational resource movement and open educational practice with archive professionals. And specifically, we want to see how archivists and other cultural heritage professionals were utilizing OER language and terminologies to promote their collections for educational use. Our project was motivated by an important observation. While there's this increasing demand and awareness for open educational resources across our campus and even academia as a whole, these practices are notably underutilized in the realm of special collections, particularly in archival instruction and outreach. So, at the project's outset, we committed to conducting a scoping review. This approach, while more systematic than our usual methods, were chosen due to the broad nature of our research area and topic. Our administration frankly encourages them to. We believed a scoping review would be the most effective strategy to more comprehensively exploring this potentially expansive subject. And for those of you unfamiliar with conducting a scoping review, the process is largely grouped into three phases. Phase 1, defining a scope and search strategy. Phase 2, screening and selecting literature. And Phase 3, analyzing and synthesizing findings. I think it's safe to say when we submitted our proposal for this conference, we anticipate that we would be well into the Phase 3 of this project, but we've actually spent a great deal of time with Phase 1 and into Phase 2, which we're going to share with you today. So once again, our original research question was simply, how are archivists using open educational resource, OER language, and platforms to promote their collections for educational use? And again, our aim was to identify potential opportunities for integrating archives into OER initiatives. However, our initial research revealed that our original scope may have been a little too restrictive for those aims. So defining our scope and strategy. Phase 1, in addition to identifying our research question, involves selecting databases and sources, establishing search terms, and inclusion-exclusion criteria. As we developed our search strategy, we encountered some challenges. Our initial search terms like open educational resources and open educational practices yielded fewer relevant results than anticipated. We realized we needed to broaden our approach in two main areas. For open educational practices, we incorporated terms related to licensing, particularly open access and Creative Commons. Regarding archives and archivists, we expanded beyond our specific profession to include the broader GLAM community, that is, galleries, libraries, archives, and museums, encompassing all cultural heritage workers and institutions. This expanded approach has produced more fruitful results, though we're still in the process of analyzing those findings. Our search locations, however, have remained largely consistent, primarily due to the constraints of our institution. We selected our search platform based on two criteria. One, relevance. We prioritize databases and journals pertinent to library and information science or education, and accessibility. We focus on databases available through our institutional subscriptions or those offering open access. And our final selection, as you can see, includes databases such as ERIC, Lista, Scopus, Web of Science, but also Google Scholar and the Directory of Open Access Journal. This combination allows us to comprehensively cover our field while working within our access limitations. Our scoping review also established inclusion and exclusion criteria to guide our research. We're focusing on a 15-year period from 2010 to 2024, limiting our search to English language publications. Initially, we intended to concentrate solely on research published in peer-reviewed journals. However, as we began this review, it became apparent that this approach would not yield sufficient results. Consequently, we reevaluated our methods and expanded our scope to include gray literature, particularly data sets, dissertations, and government reports. And this decision was driven by the realization that much of the fruitful discussion in this field is occurring outside traditional academic publishing channels. And we feel like this is suggesting that the topic is still in its early stages of scholarly discourse. And despite broadening our search, we maintained a clear focus on our research related specifically to archives and collecting repositories, but now including college and university archives, historic societies, and museums.
So as mentioned by my colleague, it's taken us a little bit longer than we had thought to get through all of these phases, and we're still in phase 2, kind of sort of beginning to look at the beginnings of our phase 3. We are utilizing the help of a review software, in this case, Rayon or Ryon as it's called, as it is an open source and is available to us free of charge. So part of our work in this process has been learning the software platform and exactly what it can do for us and how to manipulate it and how to reap the data that we really need. And we do recommend, if you're going to do a review of this nature, to use something of this nature to help keep things straight, to help you remove duplicates, to help look for maybe some of the coding and the clues that you might miss just looking at things with the naked eye. And our results so far are showing that there's a mutual absence between these two different categories and groups of literature. So the leading archival publications are lacking significant reference to OER or open pedagogy and other open educational practices. And similarly, the prominent OER publications really are not discussing archives or special collections or those other cultural heritage institutions and practices that belong in the GLAM world. What we have seen so far, as mentioned, is a lot more is in the gray literature than in the scholarly peer-reviewed reports, data sets, dissertations, and theses. And most of those are predominantly conducted by professionals from the United Kingdom, Australia, and Canada, with the United States being lacking in the majority of it. So we thank you for joining us to hear where we are so far. And we are hoping to hear from all of you, the community involved in this. You see the QR code on there. We have a document. If you have any insights, any suggestions, any comments on what you've seen today, we would love to hear from you. We're happy to share our resources so far, and we sincerely hope that you'll be hearing again from us in the near future with further findings from this project. Thank you.